Okay, hey guys, BNSF reference here at the layout, and today we're going to do a quick overview of DCC, what it is, how it works, and our system that we use here on the layout and how we wired that up, because we got a question from a viewer. So, yeah, I think first we're going to talk about DCC, what it is. So, do you want to talk to our friend?
Yeah, sure. So DCC obviously stands for Digital Command Control, and that is the counterpart to just DC control, and DCC just gives more control to the person, the operator. And what happens is there's usually a command station or power, like a booster that feeds power to the track, but the track gets a constant voltage, and then the actual locomotives are controlled by inputs through a throttle like this one. So you can use functions and then also the knob there to control the throttle. And what that does is it sends a message to the locomotive about how much power to take in from the track. So there's a decoder inside the locomotive that receives that signal and tells the locomotive what to do.
And it gives it directions.
Yeah.
And that, with DCC, as you can see, we have multiple engines on the track. These are all idling, where the ones with sound are. And they can all, you want to move one of these consist right here.
Yeah, sure.
So first of all, you can consist, which is a great thing. And you can see, on DC, you can obviously have trains on the same track, but they'll all move the same direction at the exact same speed. So this has sound, you demonstrate sound functions, and also this locomotive facing rearward, which would not be possible on standard DC. And as you can see, these engines are moving while these locomotives right here are stationary with lights and functions on. So yeah, that in a nutshell is how DCC works. And now we're going to kind of show you how our system works specifically. Okay, DCC is kind of hooked up the same way as your basic DC power pack is, with a little bit of, it's actually simplified if you use the old block system with switches and isolated blocks on DC, but if you just, it's like set up just like a normal loop of track. So, what we have here is our booster. It's a Super Empire Builder Extra DCC set from Digitrax. But you can buy all these components separately. But this one comes with the booster, the throttle you saw, and the UP5 control panel. So, starting with the booster, you have to buy your own power supply separately, but they sell one. So this booster, we have 2 jacks for throttles or LocoNet accessories. And then we have run, sleep, ops mode, which is programming for this system. So if I hit sleep, that turns track power off. The system's still on, but track power's off, so you heard all the engines switch off. Track power back on, all the engines start up again. So, yeah, so moving up from here, you see you got power in, configuration to configure it as a command station or booster, your ground for grounding it if you're using AC, and then rail A and rail B. So basically, you can move, it doesn't matter which wire goes which, but you just want to pick a color and stick with that color for each rail, so it's easier as you go through your entire layout. So basically, up here, you can see, if you just had a small layout or a small loop, you could just kind of run these directly to the track, and then solder them in, you'd be good, up and running. But with the larger layout, they recommend running a bus. So that's what we do. Up here, you have these wires come up, and they crimp in to this bigger, heavier wire right here. This is 14 gauge solid strand copper wire. So then, with that said, this runs all the way around the loop, all around the table. You can see it comes back here. And every 3 to 6 feet, we drop feeders down, which are 18 gauge, and they are soldered to the track. As you can see, they're coming down off here. I'll give you an example. Up on top, feeders. Let me see if I can find one. They're pretty hidden when you ballast over, but as you can see, there's a little copper wire here, little copper wire here. And so every 6 or so feet, we have feeders bringing up power to the track, so when you are the farthest end of the layout, all the way away from the command station, you still get constant power. So, oh, and also, we solder. I'll show you soldering to the track, and then underneath the table, so we don't have to solder, we use these suitcase connectors, or crimp connectors, which you just put both the wires in, hit them with a pair of pliers, and a little metal bar goes between and connects the contacts. So yeah, that is the bus, and then I'll show you the panels next. These panels are optional. You can just plug in right to A and B port, and you'd have full control over your layout. But if you want walk-around operation, you want to install these panels into the side of your layout. So this is the UP5. It's the standard Digitrax panel. It has 2 jacks on the front and screws into the fascia or side skirt of your layout with 4 screws. You just have to cut a hole. I'll show you kind of underneath. Up here, if I can get a little circuit board in here. So basically, I'll show you there's 2 red and white wires are the track status indicator. You don't need them, but then, so when you have track power, that light will turn on, which is cool. And as you can see, it is coming from the B port of the command station up to the back of that, and then a gray wire is dropping off of that, and I will show you where that leads over here. So walking around the layout, you then see another UP5 we installed at the engine facility. And then under here you can see that gray wire, you lead that over, and then up the top, and then another link comes across over here to the next panel. This is a UR90, which along with having a jack also has an infrared receiver. So we can have slightly wireless walk around. Digitrax has a couple different types of wireless. They have radio, infrared. Infrared's the cheapest, but cost on these panels is about $15 for the UP5 and about $45 for the UR90. And then once again we see the cord wrapping around, and then on this back end down there, if you can see it, right there. So now, with that, we have full walk-around connectivity. You can have as many panels as you want, and so that gives you the ability to walk around with your train, plug in and plug out of your system, and you can have more cabs if you have multiple operators.
Go over basic functions of each and kind of explain them. But as you can see here, this one's much bigger, and it has 2 knobs up top, and what that does is allow you to control 2 separate locomotives or 2 separate consists, and you can do that simultaneously. So you see over here on the screen you have the address, so that's 7623, and then here's the other address 3, which is controlled by the left knob here. And then also you have control over all the functions. You can see all the buttons here. The function button, MU, that allows you to consist. Loco, this allows you to select which locomotive you want. And this is like a switch for switch decoders if you control your turnouts by DCC. This is direction for the right throttle and direction for the left throttle. And then you have all these other functions. Here's the programming function, and that's one of the main features of this throttle. It's kind of like the master throttle, and it allows you to program, set CVs, and then control multiple locomotives and have a little more control than other standard throttles. So this is really nice, and it cost about $130 versus other more simple throttles, but it's nice because it gives you a lot of options and allows you to change things and pretty much control everything that pertains to the DCC system. So the next throttle we have here is the UT4, as I mentioned, and you can see it's a lot more simple, but doesn't mean it's not useful. It's just sometimes you don't need multiple of these throttles and you just want a smaller one just to control locomotives. And you can see here's the direction control here. Right now it's in the neutral position, now it's in reverse, and now it's in forward. Then you still have the knob here, which is much larger than the one on the DT402, and you can just run it all the way up to that point, and then come back, and it stops right there. So to select a locomotive, unlike this one where you just hit loco, select the locomotive, and then hit enter down here, you have to turn the knob. I'll show you. Let's say we select 2027. There, you gotta turn these. And so you can see I have in 2027. And then to select that, you can't just hit enter. What you have to do is come up here to your panel, unplug your throttle, and then plug it back in. And you can see that the light's flashing, but what that means is that someone else has it, so you have to steal that. But usually that light would turn green and say that you have control over that locomotive. And then all the functions are there. You have 1 through 12. It's just you have to hit shift to get 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Okay, so we talked about feeders, and now we're going to show you how to install them. So the first step is obviously, well, first of all, getting your wire. So this is 18 gauge. This is actually thermostat wire, which comes with 2 smaller 18 gauge wires in the strand. If you can see those 2, red and white. So that's perfect for us. And then you want the materials you need: wire, solder, soldering iron, which is heating up over there, and then you want your drill to drill the holes. Okay, so the first step is drilling your holes. I already drilled this one right about here. It helps if you drop your feeders right in track gaps when you don't have ties in, so it's just easier to solder without melting all your ties. And so we're going to drop another one right in there. It's got 6 inches or so of wire. And then, oh, I forgot, you need pliers too, to cut wire and to strip. So you come in here, cut that off, put it in here, and then you're going to try to rip them out of the wrapper, which is kind of difficult, but kind of peel it back a little bit, and then, sorry about it. You guys can see, that's going to either that or just push it off the other end, grab it, and rip it out. So there's one, and then here's the red one, right here. That's your casing, throw it away, we don't need that. And then, so now we have the 2 feeders. We're going to drop them through the holes real quick. See that one, and then, I don't know where this hole is. Right there. So those are your 2 feeders. And now, keep in mind, you want all your feeders on the same track rail side to match up with your bus. So on our system, relay is white and rail B is red.
And relay runs around the outside, so.
And the red one's on the inside.
Yeah.
So I did that right, which is good. So now we're going to strip the ends of this feeder. Take a little strip, as you can see. And then you want to squeeze this real tight, flatten it, and bend it at a 90 degree. So once that's good, you want to, the flatter it is, the easier it is to solder to your rail. So that's exactly what you want right there. So now, we're going to drop this right down in there. And you want to seat that right on your rail. You see, that's what you want to see right there. So with that, we're going to do that to the next side, and we'll come back to you with your next step. Alright, well, we're back here. We're going to solder the feeders on. I'm just making sure my iron's hot enough. This iron's kind of broken, but that's definitely hot enough. Okay, so wipe the crap you put off there. So now it's if you watch the track install video, it's the same technique basically, but we're just gonna add some feeders on top. It might be a little bit difficult because there's already been solder here, so we're gonna kind of start to heat that up a little bit. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pre-tin each of these feeders. Solder on there. Maybe a little bit too much, but that's perfect. Okay, so we're gonna plop that down in there, and then heat this up. And what that solder should do is just pull right up and attach to the track. This is still kind of hot, so I'm gonna use pliers to get it in here without shoving it down too far. Alright, so that's where it's supposed to be. So now we're going to apply heat to this joint. So that's attached, but I might clean that up a little bit. Is that on there? And I think that's about good. You think that's good?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see that's attached now. That isn't going anywhere. That joint's still hot, but... So yeah, that's how you solder one side. I'll come back to the other side and I'll show you connecting that on the table.
Okay, so I will talk about how you're going to connect your feeder wire to your bus, your power bus, and what you're going to use is suitcase connectors. We think this is the best way just because it's not a lot of work and it provides very consistent result, so it pretty much always works.
You don't have to solder on the table.
Yeah, there's no soldering needed, so you won't get solder on your face or anywhere else. And what this does is you put the two wires in here. What you'll do is slide the wire with the open end, which is the feeder wire. So the one that's hanging down, you will shove the feeder wire through this this hole here, and then you clip on the power bus onto the outside slot there. And then you'll take a pair of pliers, press down this metal piece, and it provides a very nice contact, and then you clip down the kind of suitcase lid, I guess, there. So you can see this one's already kind of set up. We have the feeder wire through that inside hole, and then we clipped on the power bus. So all we need to do is push in the metal piece there. It'll provide a contact, and then we'll shut this little case here. So let me get some pliers and we'll do that right now. Okay guys, as you can see, we have the feeders all wired up. I fed them through here and then crimped them, and now they're all fed to the bus. You can see we also did over there. Those are all good. We did a couple feeders over there.
So now the main line and the side ends and all the track work is completed with fed power.
Yeah, so yeah, we're done with getting power to the tracks. That's
all wiring. All together.
Yeah, all wiring's pretty much done. So I guess that wraps it up for this DCC segment. It was, I don't know, it was an explanation, but we decided to include that how-to just because it's necessary when you have a larger size layout. So I guess thanks for watching, and we'll be making a few videos actually right now, so just look for more. They should be up sometime soon after this one, or maybe before. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time.
Alright, cool.